pay attention to this very interesting experiment done a few years ago. It's known as the SCAR experiment, done in the US by a university, Dartmouth University in New Hampshire, and they did the experiment with men and women. And these people were informed that the experiment had an objective to observe how people behaved with people who had facial scars. In other words, do people give different looks, or do they behave differently when people have facial scars? This was the objective with this experiment. Then, these people were put in rooms with no mirrors, and they drew a scar on the face of these people. Then, people could briefly look at themselves in the mirror. Are you following? Then after, the participants were invited to leave the room and interact with people in the building. But before leaving the room, the makeup artist told them that the scar needed some final touch-ups. But what did the makeup artist do? It was to remove the scar from their face. They left the room with no scars drawn on their face, but they thought they had. But when they were walking around the building to report what was the reaction of people to that experiment, everybody unanimously were looking directly to their scars, and they were rude at them, which was impossible because there were no scars in the face of nobody. What did this experiment prove? It proved the following: that self-prejudice is stronger than others' prejudice, which means when I think that there's something wrong with myself, then I create a prejudice against myself, an imaginary prejudice, and my self-image, meaning the way I see myself, influence the way I think others see me. If I think I'm a fool, then I believe people think I'm a fool. If I think I have big ears, then I think that people think I have these big ears, and so on and so forth. And this is aligned with the truth. Whatever prejudice the person faces in life, usually this prejudice is higher against themselves than the prejudice that people have against them, or they don't even have it. At times the person is looking at them and they have not even realized a physical flaw or another situation that can cause a prejudice, and the person who is aware of their own flaws, they are believing that the other is discarding them because of their flaw. So you can see, dear friends, how important is for you, I wouldn't say a positive self-image, a good image of yourself in your own head. No, I think that better than a good and positive self-image is to have the image from above that God gave you. When you learn that you were created under God's image and likeness, and that He has created you, and He does nothing wrong, then you start to learn your own value. regardless of what people can think of you. Because I'm not saying that prejudice doesn't exist in the world, because it does, but also the self-prejudice exists, which is worse than the prejudice from others. Because if I suffer prejudice, but I have no prejudice against myself, then I can overcome what comes from outside in an easier way. But if I discard myself, if I defeat myself, how can I win? Even if there's no prejudice against myself. You can see that King David, inspired by the Holy Spirit, said on Psalm 139. Look at this. He said, I will praise you, talking to God. I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows very well. David was saying that he admired the works of God's hands, which included himself. The Lord made me fearfully, wonderfully, and that's true. I ate a banana this morning, and I was thinking with myself, while I was peeling off the banana, I was thinking, my God, what a perfect fruit, right? It comes with a peel to protect its content, to protect the fruit itself, a peel that is easy to peel off, and it reveals the banana that is ready to be eaten. It is ready. In other words, man plants the seed, the banana tree grows, then it bears fruits, man removes the bananas from the tree, it ripes, and then it peels it off and he eats. And it has vitamins and it tastes so good, right? It comes with vitamins, so many positive and good nutrients to our body. And I was thinking, my God, how can a human being think that this happened by chance? Not only a banana, but you look at an orange, a watermelon, then you start to look at the human body, which was what David most probably had in his mind when he wrote this. When you look at the human body and you see your hands, the perfection of the body, how everything works perfectly. So it is spontaneous what David wrote. I will praise you, for I am fearfully. It's truly fearful. It is something that science and scientists are in awe, because there's an intelligence behind all this. How the human body is so intelligent. And he says, fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows very well. When you admire God's creation, which you belong to it, and how marvelous is everything done by His hands, then how can you put yourself down? How can you have prejudice against yourself? It's as if you are telling God, you made a mistake. But no. When you learn God's perfection, you say, my God, you are wonderful. Of course, we have our limitations. We are not perfect as He is. Still, when we are with Him, in Him, and His words are in us, His Spirit is in us, then we know that He is pleased to use the feeble, foolish things, the despised things of this world. Am I right? Things that the world despises, whether a face scar, a physical deficiency, which was not God who created that. However, is a fruit of this miscegenation, is a fruit of other things that we're not going to talk about it today, but whether a physical deficiency or any other flaw, still God takes pleasure in using those who are considered to be nothing to humiliate those who think that they are something. Thank God for this. Dear friends, if you were taught to have prejudice against someone else or yourself, if you were brought up hearing that this part of your body is this or that, what a hair, what a nose, if one day you suffered prejudice because of your skin complexion, your nationality, the part of the country you came from, whatever it may be, forget it. Look at yourself with God's eyes. Record this verse 14 of Psalm 139 for you to never forget how He made you. And if one day someone expresses prejudice against you, it might be that it's not from the person, but your own brain having prejudice against yourself. Even if the prejudice from outside is true, don't be angry at that person, because unfortunately they were not enlightened by the Spirit of God. Pray for them and don't diminish yourself. If today's video helped you and you know someone that could benefit from it, share it with them, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you may do so now. See you later.